really, really love your site. I have been on the beta site for a little while. I'm looking forward to when it goes live.
Yeah, soon.
Do you want to tell me a bit about why you started it, what the story was behind creating that?
Yeah, absolutely. It really came out of from a couple of different places. One, there was a very strong sort of personal need, because I don't spend a tremendous amount of time broadcasting on social media. I mean,
Okay.
I love to consume it, but I'm not necessarily a producer. And if you look at most of the ways that people are getting found out there, and certainly all of the blogs educating people on how to be found, they're basically telling them to produce more content.
Yes.
And it's fundamentally an unsustainable way of discovery, right? And
Yes.
especially when we start looking at these trends towards more and more freelancers, sort of global new economies, and within the startup industry, just finding developers, finding designers is a really difficult problem. And if you just go and use the traditional channels, you find people who broadcast a lot and tend to actually not be very hireable because they're already really busy.
Yes.
So we started looking at then, well, how could we sort of invert this a little bit and make it not so much about what you're broadcasting, but what other people actually kind of think about you, and try to make the discovery more about through your sort of social graph rather than just purely off of a search.
Right.
So that was one sort of driver on it. And the other one was we were doing a lot of work with some of the telcos and participating a lot in some of the identity conferences, where a lot of the really big ideas on the future of the social web were popping up. And from that, we saw this incredible business model of a new way to kind of connect people to businesses and people to each other. And that really, the culmination of those two things really kind of kicked off the idea.
Fabulous. And you're hooked up with Twitter and Facebook, I see. Not yet Google Plus.
Not yet Google Plus. Yeah, we currently support Facebook, LinkedIn,
Yeah.
and Twitter.
Yeah.
We do have support for Google Plus in development, and we'll be launching that with the next release.
Oh, great. And that's not too long in
Not
the
too
coming.
far away, yeah. Yep.
Fabulous.
Yep.
I'm always impatient. But it is a great platform for conversation, and a lot of engagement does happen there. But I know that Google has been a bit slack in that they haven't released the API, apart from the reading API. So
Yeah.
So I'm interested in the company, or your startup, obviously,
Sure.
and wondering, have you achieved any funding to date, and how has that been for you?
Yeah, we have a great group of angel investors that have come in on our seed rounds, and it's a really interesting time to raise money.
Yes.
There's for all sorts of different reasons. There's a lot of money right now available to entrepreneurs, and a lot of these investors are they're certainly looking for sort of the next big idea. And there's always been this sort of tension between how big is the idea, and then also how narrow is it, right? And it seems sort of competing, and that's been a really fascinating process to try to paint what we're doing as like, look, this could be a really large company, but at the same time, like, well, here's the simple product that kind of kicks it off.
Yes. And you've got some good investors on board. Can you name any of the angels that you've been working with?
Yeah, I can name a few. So my initial partner in Connect Me, Drummond Reed, he's in Seattle. So we did raise the bulk of our seed round in Seattle, but
Okay.
we also have an investment from Swisscom. Interesting enough, we're the only startup that they've ever participated in a seed round, and that came out of some of the work we were doing sort of in the telco space,
Yes.
but also a lot of work that Swisscom was doing in the future planning space and
Right.
looking at the future of social web. Right. So.
And was it yourself that had to do the pitching for funding?
It was a mix of
Okay.
us. Yeah. So there are actually 3 partners
Okay.
now, and myself, Drummond, and Mark Lucio, and Mark did a lot of the raising of the seed rounds. with me doing a lot of the pitching as well. But
And
there's a lot of legwork that goes into
Yeah,
raising
really,
a seed round,
yeah.
or even a Series A.
I
so.
appreciate it. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. And I wondered, out of all that experience you've already had, would you have any tips for entrepreneurs who are wanting to start a seed round pitch, or any things that you found really worked and were successful?
Yes, making sure that you can clearly communicate your idea. I mean,
Okay.
it seems it's so obvious, and everyone sort of beats this drum. But being able to practice the pitch and going to some of the conferences, certainly around Silicon Valley, Y Combinator demo days, the hackathons, those sort of things are a fantastic place to meet and schmooze. But for someone who hasn't done it before, it does require a tremendous amount of practice and just getting out there and continually pitching your idea and getting feedback on it. And the phenomenal thing I think about the tech startup industry is that people are really quite nice, and they're very open to giving feedback, giving tips. There's a good sense of community around it, and we sort of all want to succeed. So if you just get out there and pitch, you will get some good feedback on it.
Great. Well, look, I wish you all the best with Connect Me, and I know I've been enjoying it, and I look forward to when you launch officially.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Coming soon.